Today we're going to be doing a fine line sketch with watercolour. So the equipment that I've got ready is watercolour paper. Got some drafting tape to print the edges. I have my Aquafine watercolour palette. As you can see, it's well used. I've got the key colours there. To make the sketch, we have just any old pencil will do, and a couple of fine line pens with different thicknesses. We've got a 0.1, 0.2 here. A watercolour, water ready for my watercolour. I shouldn't need any other paintbrushes. I have the one that came with the set. I've got these for backup in case I need anything more. So let's get started. So I'm going to be using the reference photo we have here, and it was a recent trip to Bali. We had a sunrise photos of walk. I love this one because of the bright sort of rooftops popping through against the greenery, so I think it would make quite a nice watercolour, and just a quick sort of sketch, and then we can get started with the watercolours. Hopefully this won't take I'm not planning on this one taking too long this morning. I'm a little rushed for time, but let's see how it goes. Just making some initial grid markings so I can keep to the thirds and try and get the best sort of reflection of the scale for this one. So I'd say that building was sort of roughly in this area. Only this is just an initial sort of rough outline, really, just to get a gauge of the shapes on the page. It's probably quite difficult to see with the pencil, but hopefully when I go over with the fine line, it will just come to life a little bit more. So this one's in the background a little more. Background and things are on an angle, but build perspective. Cute little terrace there. Some foliage. There's a tree coming up. Nice palm there. Of course, some plenty of palm trees as we're away. Another little rooftop. Okay, and this terrace comes forward. Another set of pillars. So I'm not trained in anything particular, architecture or whatnot. It's all just through sort of a bit of practice. It's really enjoyable to sketch on the spot as well, but obviously it just brings back holiday memories being at home now, being able to sketch this scene. So, okay, so we've come down, we're at this level now, and I know roughly there's sort of another sort of terrace there, and then we have these leaves. Now these aren't quite in perspective, the focus is the buildings here, but you just we'll roughly add these in, these leaves coming down here. We've got a palm tree. Again, not going to draw every single leaf, but it's just the impression that there's this greenery at the front, like so. There we go. Okay, so we've covered this greenery there, and it comes down beautifully between the buildings. Three levels here. Don't actually know whose house this is, but Wouldn't mind living one of these. Where are they? Okay. Adding in just a outline there. Got another couple of windows. Detail, and that's kind of covered by that palm tree coming out here. And what else have we missed? Yeah, just a bit more greenery. I guess we can fade that sort of the building behind that one out, just with the use of the greenery. It's okay just to give your paintings some non-truths, but that's okay. No one's gonna really look back. Actually, that's one of the nice things about painting anything that's natural, is that got a little bit of leeway for likeness. People's a little bit different. Trying to draw a realistic impression of those. Okay, so I'm just blabbing now. We've got some more greenery there, and then that fades into the background. So okay, so we've got our main shapes here. See how that looks on the camera. A little bit light, but be manageable. Okay, so we're gonna pick we use the thin one today because this is quite delicate. So I'm just gonna go over now. Oh, if it works. Guess that's the benefit of having two. So we'll go with the 0.2. Decision's been made for me. Here we go. Actually, that's perfect, really. I'm sure my teacher from school, I can't remember, used to teach me drawing, would say no line is ever completely straight. So, and in fact, straight lines are pretty boring. So we'll keep this a little textured, but still true to value. I don't know what that is, but I can see something there, so I'll just add it in. I'll go back and do the trees, and really I'm just going to get these rooftops in for starting. I didn't have that line in there before, but I can see it goes back and then across, so I just added that in. Again, I'm a bit of a one for adding in too much detail, so I'm gonna try and stop myself as much as I can as I do this. So it's okay, that connects it right there. Okay. Terry seems to go a bit further than the other one. Okay, adding that in. let's start, and for the greenery, I'm just gonna do the sort of a little dotted sort of dot dash even outline, just to again give the impression that there's some greenery there without having to go into the detail of. It can be very uneven, just to give the impression that there is the greenery there. Different sort of style of plant just here before these ones come out. And then of course we have a palm. Top here. Okay, so there we go. It's like there's some nice little cushions and a balcony up there, lovely. Another row like so. Doesn't have to be exact, but again we're giving the impression that there's sort of those windows are just there. And then we come to the last sort of edge here. We've got a bit of greenery that's coming up in the foreground here, so we'll just add that in. Okay, so we're almost there with the buildings. Just a little more. And then what have we got? We've got this terrace. So then there we go. And then I think I'll just add in a bit more of the green that we can see here. Sorry if my hand's in the way now. It's sort of awkward. I should have started on further on the left. Just little jaggedy lines to give the impression, but nothing detailed. And then we have our can see it's sort of blowing in the wind almost, actually. The branches seem to be flowing off to the left. Which, to be fair, I would be if I was set on the hill that high. Right, so here we go. Just add in this planes of these trees in the background. I see another one there, but let's give that line. Okay, so as far as I see, okay, bearing with sort of just a little extra few lines there, and I'm not sure there's a barrier. There must be. Just a bit cool. These ones, this was there, but I'm sure everyone's going to forgive me. And then again, and then I'm just gonna. We have a few more sort of leaves I can actually see here, so I'm just going to do outlines for them. Again, impression, but not the full detail needed. Keep an eye on the time, as I've actually got an appointment to get to. So let's see if we can make some progress on that. Okay, so I'm fairly happy with the overall look there. Again, if I had a rubber, I might just try and get rid of that pencil line, but it's not actually that big of a problem. It will be what it will be. Right, okay, so I'm gonna go in. It's got, I don't know if you can see, it's got sort of like a blue, little bits of pink in there. I'm gonna be mixing my, what should we use? Ultramarine. And a little bit of that. I think it's, let me see, Viridian, just to give a little bit more of an emeraldy, sort of like green turquoisey touch to it, which is pretty. And separately, for the pink that's gonna come through, I think I'll use, I think that's quite dark actually. Touch of orange just to brighten up a little bit, we could use. So that's a bit of a pinky orange, it's a bit too much, but we'll, I'm sure we'll manage. So I'm just gonna go in. Actually, that's a very nice colour, and what I really would like to do, because the scene is it's sort of been brought to life by the fact that the sunrise is opposite, so actually with that orange, nice effect. And perhaps I'll use my bigger wash brush just to get the background. So actually I'm just going to use this 16mm just to pick up a bit more of the colour there and to go over the whole. Because after, you can see, you'll see that the paint is not seeping, sorry, the pen is not seeping through. What it will do, it will just add a really lovely tinge that pulls through when we add the other colours on top. So let's see how that goes. So back to the turquoise. Whilst it's still wet, I'm going to apply the turquoise. And I can afford for that to be a little bit more pigmented, so I'm just going to add a bit more blue. I'm going to keep that pink that's coming across. Gosh, I don't know what paper I've used here, but it's a bit bobbly. Maybe it wasn't watercolour paper after all. Never mind. We got with the flow. Okay. Now where I want to pick up, whilst that is also drying, because then I want to go in with the sort of like deeper oranges, and I don't want them to blur so much with the sky. I think what I'll probably do is go in with the greens and just a little bit darker blue there for the. Yeah, we've managed to switch paintbrushes, but let me use this one. It feels a bit better. So I can go in lighter and then add the dark after, so we've got quite a lot of bright on the top here. Again, I'm going to add the green, but leave some light patches. So I'll just go in like that. And then to add the depth for the, see we've got darker patches here. I'll take this down a level whilst it's still wet, you know, just to get in a bit more shadow. Got a bit of shadow there. And you can take this darker, but I'm just going to go stage by stage. Fancy just adding in a little touch of, brighter yellow to the tops here, places. And then perhaps back in with a little bit darker, because I think it can handle it. And as it dries, it lightens up sort of anyway, so we can sort of afford to go a little bit darker on the patches. I just add a little bit touch of blue in the darkest places. Okay, so how that's feeling. It's feeling a little drier than it was. So let's take this bright orange, and I think that would be lovely for the rooftops. And I'm gonna go in. You can still see how that's showing me that the paper's actually quite a bit wet there. But sometimes there's a beauty in letting it's the idea about watercolours. It's a little unpredictable, but we can get these really beautiful effects with the water coming out. And actually, I quite like that. This one's a little bit darker. There's maroon, so we'll add some burnt sienna in this the top there. And then bringing it down into the see how that's blurred. That's actually looking really pretty. And I'm just going to add a little touch of yellow to that edge, just where the sun is sort of just starting to appear, the warmth on the edges. And then bringing down a little bit brown. These rooftops. And we've got a little bit more of a yellowy stone, or whatever that cladding is, the whole thing there. Oh, that's actually greenery, never mind. Take that off, actually, if we wanted to. There you go, clean that up a little. Okay, and we've got a brighter front to this, but again the wash that's picked up the orange coming through. I might dilute that slightly. Just there. And we just leave it. Maybe just add a little to the front. Actually, that's a little bit more of a stone grey, so I'll take that orange that I used earlier, and if we add our ultramarine, we should be getting sort of towards a purpley grey. See that purpley grey colour? Hopefully that's on the footage. So if I just take a watered down emerald, I can add that across. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Grab that across in there. Sort of add in any of the sort of places with the shadows. And actually you can see how that's bled all the way down into the shadows there, but hopefully once that's dry, we can then go back in with a little bit more sort of grey and add to that. Okay, back in with the greens. Let's see what we can sort of, because it's actually quite a dark green in the back there, compared to the front. So maybe just go in. This one's slightly lighter in front of it. And then as we get to the foreground, I'll make that quite a contrast between the ones in the background compared to the front there. Whilst we got that green, similar to there, maybe a bit brown here. We've got these large ones in the background. Okay, I think I might have to pause there because I've got somewhere to be. But my issue is I can't ever stop, so here we go. So let's take it to the point where, oh yeah, oh I quite like that sort of yellowy that's gone in there in the background. It gives that contrast, and I think it sort of grows up into the building as well. So just add that in. Should do that just in the background first, because I can see this bit of shadow. Okay, and then we go for the greens. It's quite a dark green. Again, just dabble, try to get that colour in there. This one might bleed into the other colours at the top, but that's not a problem. And then I'll save that one in the middle there because it's quite bright pink actually. Okay, so this is where I'm going to finish for now until it's dry, and then I can go back in and add the focal details. So that's where we are for now.